welcome to the deep dive, where we really get into the interesting parts of all the sources that you send us. This prediction is brought to you by therealfl.co.uk. Today we're looking at a really interesting FA Cup match. It's League Two's Doncaster Rovers versus Crystal Palace from the Premier League.
Ooh, that sounds like it could be a good one. A League Two side taking on a Premier League team.
Yeah, it has all the makings of a classic upset.
It does. It's a total David versus Goliath story. I mean, you've got Doncaster. They're fighting for promotion in League Two.
Right.
And then you've got Palace. They're pretty comfortable in the middle of the table in the Premier League.
Yeah, Doncaster's coming off a bit of a rough one, though. A 5-2 loss to Chesterfield.
Ooh.
Which actually broke their 4-game win streak. So how much could that loss kind of shake their confidence going into a match against a Premier League team?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's definitely not the ideal situation, right? But Doncasters are really, really tough to shut out at home.
Okay.
They've scored in their last 9 matches at the Eco Power Stadium. On the other hand, Palace are coming in hot after that huge win against Manchester United.
Yeah.
In fact, they've only lost 1 game in their last 8 matches. And that's across all competitions.
So we got a team that loves to score at home and a team that is just on a roll.
Exactly. And you know what makes it even more interesting?
What's that?
Palace has been like a defensive wall recently. I mean, they've earned clean sheets against big teams like Manchester United, West Ham, Leicester City.
Wow.
Even got a clean sheet against Stockport County, which is a lower league team. And that was in the previous FA Cup round.
That's a good point. So they can definitely shut down teams from lower leagues.
Right. And a lot of that defensive strength comes from their manager, Patrick Vieira. You know, he's got them playing this very disciplined low block, which basically means they're forcing other teams to figure out a way to break them down. And not many teams have been able to do that successfully.
So Doncaster's attack is really going to be tested in this match. And speaking of shaking things up, Palace has got a new player, Ben Chilwell. He's on loan from Chelsea, and he might actually make his debut in this match.
Oh, that's interesting. Chilwell's a really good defender, so he could definitely make their backline even stronger.
Yeah, he could be a real secret weapon.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let's look at the 3 predictions that we made for this match.
Okay, sounds good.
First up, Crystal Palace to win.
Yeah, I mean, given the difference in leagues and how each team's been playing, that seems like the most likely outcome, right? The odds are 1-5, so they're the clear favorites.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But is there anything that could make this an upset?
Well, it's the FA Cup upsets happen all the time.
Sure.
I mean, Doncaster has that home field advantage, and they've been consistently scoring goals.
Right.
So those things could give them a chance. But let's be real. Overcoming the gap in quality between these two teams, that's going to be a huge challenge.
Yeah, it's a long shot, but you never know.
Exactly.
Our second prediction is both teams to score.
No. Right.
Palace's defense has been so tough to break down lately. Yeah.
So that prediction seems pretty likely. The odds for both teams not to score are 18-25.
So Doncaster's going to have to be incredibly sharp with their chances if they want to score against this Palace defense.
Yeah. They'll need to be clinical. We don't think it's likely. But again, anything can happen in the FA Cup.
That's what makes it so fun.
Exactly.
Okay. And finally, our third prediction. Under 2.5 goals.
Okay.
The odds on that are 137-100.
Okay. So this one's kind of leaning towards a Palace win, but it could be a low-scoring game. We've noticed that Palace has been having more lower-scoring games recently.
Interesting.
Yeah, it seems like they're pretty comfortable winning by 1 or 2 goals.
Yeah, they don't need to blow anyone out to get the win.
Right, exactly. They're efficient.
Yeah, that's a good word for it.
And you know what else is interesting?
What's that?
Oh, yeah. These two teams have played each other before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they met in the FA Cup back in 2019,
Okay.
and Palace won that one 2-0. They also spent some time together in the championship between 2008 and 2012.
Right. So there's a little bit of history there.
Yeah, a little bit.
I guess the current form and who's on the team now will matter more, though.
Oh, for sure.
But it is interesting that Doncaster's manager, Grant McCann, actually played for Crystal Palace back in the early 2000s.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's a fun little wrinkle.
Yeah. It really adds another layer to the matchup. McCann, knowing Palace from the inside, could give Doncaster an edge.
Yeah.
You know, especially when it comes to things like set pieces or exploiting any weaknesses in their defense.
Right. He might have some insights that could really help.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah.
Okay, so we've got this potential upset, a clash of styles,
Yeah.
and a bit of history between the clubs and the managers. Before we move on to our final thoughts, I wanted to talk about one of Doncaster's key players. George Miller.
Ah, yes. George Miller, Doncaster's top scorer. He's the one to watch. If anyone's going to cause trouble for that Palace defense, it's going to be him.
What makes him so dangerous?
Well, he's been in amazing form this season, and he just knows how to find the back of the net.
Sounds like Palace will need to keep a close eye on him.
Oh, absolutely. If he's on his game,
Right.
it could make things very interesting.
So he's the danger man, for sure. Okay, so let's think about the bigger picture. What does this match mean for both of these teams?
Good question. Okay, so for Doncaster, this is their chance to make history. Reaching the 5th round of the FA Cup would be massive for a League Two side.
It would be huge.
Right. It would bring in a lot of money, put them in the national spotlight, and give them a ton of confidence for the rest of the season.
So a win would really put them on the map.
Exactly. It's a massive opportunity to prove themselves on a bigger stage. And for Palace, well, a win keeps their FA Cup dreams alive, and it lets them build momentum for their Premier League campaign.
They'll want to stay focused and keep moving forward in the tournament.
Right. They don't want any slip-ups.
So even though they're coming from different places in the football world, both teams have a lot at stake in this match.
Absolutely. Okay, before we wrap things up, we wanted to leave you with one final thought. Something to ponder as we wait for the match to start.
Ooh, I like it. Hit me.
What if Doncaster's recent loss to Chesterfield, that 5-2 defeat, what if that ends up being a good thing for them?
A good thing. How so?
Well, it could be a wake-up call, a reminder that they can't take any team lightly, not even a lower league team.
So it could fire them up.
Exactly. It could make them even more determined to prove themselves against a Premier League giant.
Maybe it'll give them a boost of energy and focus.
It's possible, right? They might play with a sense of urgency, knowing that they have nothing to lose.
So you're saying that sometimes a setback can actually help a team?
Yeah, sometimes it can light a fire, and that fire could lead to some incredible things.
Yeah. So as you're watching this FA Cup match, remember that anything is possible. And for a more detailed breakdown of this match and our predictions, you can find our full article on thereyellowfl.co.uk. It's going to be an exciting match, that's for sure. All the ingredients for a classic FA Cup tie. You've got the underdog story, the different styles of play, and of course the chance for a huge upset.
Absolutely. And you know what? Even as Palace wins, keep an eye on Doncaster's George Miller.
Oh yeah, he's the one to watch.
If he's playing well, he could really shake things up.
Yeah, he can make things interesting. So will Doncaster pull off a miracle? Or will Palace be too strong?
We'll have to wait and see.
That's the beauty of the FA Cup.
It is. We encourage you to think about everything we've discussed.
Yeah.
Consider all the different angles and make your own prediction about who's going to win this match.
Sounds good to me.
And if you want a deeper dive into the match and our predictions, you can always check out our full article. It's on thereyellowfl.co.uk.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Doncaster Rovers versus Crystal Palace FA Cup matchup. We'll be back soon with more insights from the world of football.